Relating to this, in your opinion, who should give them this education? Like, who would be the best for us?
So I feel that we usually just have this kind of an approach where we think that maybe if we talk about, let's say, according to me, adults should give them sex education. But by adults, I just don't mean teachers or maybe parents, but I also means the the elder siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we usually have this misconception, like, only the parents or the teachers should give them sex education, but even the, siblings, the cousins, they can also give them sex education, because we are, as a, if I talk about myself, I'm more comfortable talking about sex with my cousins or maybe my siblings, not with my parents. So it's very important to understand the comfort level as well. And if we talk about the formal sex education, there are a lot of trainings, and there are a lot of sessions which goes around the school and college and everything. So maybe we usually think that maybe we will have this one session around sex education, and the child will share everything. The child will be able to understand everything, and the child will get comfortable, and they will share everything. But it's not right, because if I talk about in psychological terms, there is something called repo formation, which is very important. If you really want your child to be comfortable with you, it's really important that you have a kind of uncomfortable talks with them. But given that you cannot go around to your child and say ki, okay, let's talk about sex today. You cannot do that. It's very important to understand where your child comes from. If the child is not sharing for like 10 years of his age, and then you think like, what, today we will talk about this and I will give him sex education, but it's not right. We cannot expect our child to be very comfortable with us at the first go. So I think, according to me, the parent, the teacher, and the family, the siblings and the cousins can give them sex education. But it's very important to understand the process of giving sex education. It shouldn't be something like, maybe, in 1 or 2 days they will get comfortable. It's a process. So they should start from a very beginning age, first thing. And second thing, even if you are giving a formal sex education at school and everything, you should start by
Okay. Yeah.
okay. So, as I was saying, that if we are giving them formal sex education, then we should have this in mind, that we should have a lot of sessions, and we should have this a lot of this talking sessions. It's not like one way session. It should be very interactive sessions with the children and the teacher. It's like, usually they have a thing where they have a different teacher assigned for value education or something, maybe general knowledge and everything. So we even that teacher can give, since it is also a value subject as well. So even if we talk about the population education, as I already mentioned, the initiative taken by the government, they have a thing, sex education, in the value education only. So in the value education classes, they can have a conversation about sex, and it should be regular, so that the child feel comfortable sharing these stuff with the teachers. So and even the parents should take this initiative to educate their kids about sex.
Okay, that's great. So I have my last question, that there is a taboo that girls and boys should not get sex education at the same time, and that like मतलब साथ साथ एक साथ उन्हें sex education नहीं देनी चाहिए. They should be separated and then be taught about. So is this good or bad? And what's your opinion on this?
So according to me, it's just that it's just that when the boys are having their developmental changes in their body, they should be taught about it at that time. And when girls are having their developmental changes, the physical changes in their body, then they should be taught about, that developmental changes, basically, the hormonal imbalance and everything which is happening inside a girl's body. So it's not like, we shouldn't teach them at the same age or something like that. It's more like, how the development is going about. So when there is a need to tell them about, when there is need to educate them about sex or maybe something related to that, so we should tell them, rather than, thinking like, no, we cannot tell them at the same age or something like that. Because most of the time, if we talk about, in women, in girls, the puberty hits a little earlier than boys, but it's kind of same age only. It's not like, this.
Okay, so my next question is, uh, in your opinion, how does parents' hesitation about sex education can affect children?
Yeah. So, parents have a kind of hesitation that if they will talk about sex education or particularly sex, then child would have a, a negative impact. But parents' hesitation, I
Yes.
don't know,
So
your video
what
is
were you
getting.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so maybe we can start again. Yeah. Parents' hesitation that if they will talk about sex or sex education, that then the child will lose their innocence, and the child will indulge in such activities, or maybe it's like they will have a negative curiosity. But this hesitation actually affect the child a lot, because if, as we already talked about that if the parent will not talk about sex, or maybe maybe sex or sex education, or maybe anything related to sex education, then the child will get to know from somewhere else, and the child might have a wrong knowledge, and maybe a false assumptions, or maybe false knowledge about that, which can affect the mental peace as well as the health of the child as well. So if for example, if the child got a knowledge of sex which is false, or maybe out of curiosity the child wants to try having it, or maybe involve in such activity, then it will affect the child's mental health, and the physical health as well, because the child is not ready, like physically. If we talk about a girl, or if we talk about boy, the girl and boy are not ready for that physically. But since they don't have that the proper knowledge about it, and if we talk about safe sex, so if they don't know, like about safe sex and the precautions they must take before having a safe sex and everything, then they might involved in unsafe practices. So this hesitation will have a very negative consequences for the child. Though the parents have this misconception that if they will not talk about it, then they are somewhere minimizing those negative consequences. But it's really a wrong misconception which parents have and which adults have. Rather, they should talk about it, so that we can actually have a very safe environment for the child, as well as parents can also share their experience as well. So it's very important that a child feels non-judgmental while they are sharing such things with their parent, because most of the time we are not able to share about our boyfriend or girlfriend with our parents, because we are not comfortable with them. But it's very important that we create a safe space and a non-judgmental space for the young adults, so that they can share such things, and this hesitation of parents doesn't affect them. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, so
Yeah.
my question is, there is a taboo that girls and boys should not get sex education at the same time. So is this good or bad? What's your opinion about this?
So, according to me, this taboo is like it's wrong because there is nothing like they shouldn't have sex education at the same time, because they even if we talk about boys or girls, they both are experiencing some changes in the physical body, and emotionally they are experiencing those changes, and the age when they experience such changes is quite similar. There is not much difference. So it's really important while they are experiences these hormonal changes and physical changes and emotional changes. By emotional changes I mean that the need of being with someone, or the need because once you are attracted to someone physically, then you have a need to be with someone. So it's very important that first we recognize those needs, maybe those emotional needs and physical needs, and maybe any kind of needs which as a young adult he or she is facing. And it's really important to talk about it, and I don't think that there should be a taboo that no, we cannot teach we cannot teach our kids about sex education. At the same time, since he's a boy, he should be taught earlier, and she's a girl, she should be taught a little later. That's not the case, because the growth of a girl and a boy is quite similar, and I think they should be provided with sex education in some similar time only.
Okay, that's a great explanation. So